Summer for the LPL. And this is the road to Worlds. We begin already into the thick of it. Rexar, the first pickup. Nautilus, let's just not even slow down.
Already, we're seeing so many flex picks still up and available. I mean, the Silas is banned, but the Rise is still there. EDG is a team that when you give them the Rise, they will certainly take it. So I'm surprised that Dominus is able to give that one over.
Other flexes banned away, though. The Silas on blue side, Java and Aurelia there too. The Aatrox a must ban at the moment here in 9.10. Yuumi still available and enabled, whether teams choose to pick that, but it's going to be the Olaf locked in.
Nautilus has been the go-to pick alongside Sivir against the Yuumi. Because Yuumi is, while a fantastic champion, is very weak versus like the all-in, like the hard engage, the wave clear as well that Sivir provides. So it seems like EDG doesn't want to play it, and they're more willing to actually try and bait the pick out.
Pops into something for DMO instead, into the Zyra Khan. So going for the bottom lane. Pretty standard stuff here from DMO. See what happens in the top side of the map, because that's my curiosity, but the Kai'Sa locked in for iBoy.
For EDG, I love the fact that they were able to get the counter matchup in the jungle already. It's going to be difficult for Xiaopeng to be able to match early Scuttle Crab. Remember, the big change being 3 minutes and 15 seconds. Olaf should be able to find you, out-skirmishes you. So it's going to be a lot of focus for EDG to get the right mid laner. So the 2v2 is strong there. So if I'm Dominus now, you have a second chance at the second crack. You want to be able to ban away, in my mind, the Rise and the Syndra. I think Syndra is a fantastic champion for Scout. And even in some of the bad matchup, assassin matchups like LeBlanc, you still have the range advantage. As long as your jungler is hovering over you, then you can try and answer back on the LeBlanc. So a lot of picks that are up and available. I think the Syndra is a higher priority than the LeBlanc.
See, because EDG have opted in for something like the Cannon. Syndra still open and available there if Scout manages to get it through. Rise was the ban here for Dominus, and the final ban, remember there are a couple of flexes still open. Akali has made it through this way as well.
A lot of teams would be a little bit worried about double banning mid when they themselves will have the mid laner up and available. It seems like they wanted to ban the LeBlanc instead of the Syndra. Is that Twyla has such a large champion pool and is definitely willing to play into the Syndra if he gets his hands on the Corki. So I think that we're going to be seeing EDG go for Syndra, be completely confident in that 2v2. While the Corki, more scaling mindset is there from DMO that has already like a fantastic 3-item 80 carry, a really safe bottom lane, and they can try and play it safe too. They already have double teleport there with Twyla and Changhong. Of course, they can change it, but it already seems like that's going to be the DMO way to play.
And see if they go for the challenge in the top lane while they're at it, because Renekton getting locked in for Jinnu just seems like his style, seems like something Ray would do in this team as well. Now remember, for Dominus, back in playoffs, we saw Changhong on the Cassiopeia, so this is not necessarily mid.
But I think that Twyla is the better Cassiopeia. I think that Twyla couldn't play the Cassiopeia in the spring split because it was seen as busted and was banned consistently. He didn't get that opportunity to really try her as much as possible. But he, to me, in the LDL, was the strongest Cassiopeia there. And so now we get to see a great teamfight composition coming out of Dominus.
You're dead right, because Sion going up to Changhong, game number 19. If we want to roll over from spring, but starting a new leaf here, Changhong in his first ever game goes to his best champion, and it looks like Scout will opt in for the Corki, with Syndra being left open.
Okay, all right. That's cool. I think remember, the ultimate concern when you're going up against the composition that Dominus has is, are you willing to teamfight versus this? With Syndra, you're saying, we'll look for pick and teamfight. With Corki, you're saying, oh my god, I'm not going to touch the Cassiopeia. Maybe I can if we have a flank position ready for ourselves, but I'd much rather take ourselves into a 1-3-1. He can certainly do that. You want to make the Sion and Cassiopeia as uncomfortable as humanly possible until that dreaded 20-minute point hits, and they're going to just be trying to blitz towards Baron, because that's a fantastic Baron rushing composition from Dominus. So it seems like from EDG's standpoint, they're going to be a hot coal for this game.
And in terms of quality, I remember some of the best games from Scout coming through from Corki in spring as well. A couple of highlights there as he was the one to make the transition into Corki, and it felt like other people followed. At least now going into summer, we've got a grasp on what Scout wants to do in 2019. And I know a lot's changed, but here I see an opening game one for EDG.
Because the biggest problem for EDG for the last few years has been the fact that they need Scout to carry. That Scout needs to be able to have, and when I say carry, I don't mean late game carry, I mean early game bridge. Because a lot of times if you have Haro, you don't have to worry about it at times. Clearlove certainly is going to be the level 6 type of jungler. So then you would have to have Scout being active on the map early on, I think this is a true test towards JJ, because now JJ's whole focus is to be able to make it so Corki stays in lane strong, plays towards his top lane a little bit more, because you have a great carry matchup there for yourself. So Renekton in this game is going to be incredibly important. So EDG, top side of the map is going to be their primary focus.
You see yourself on an Olaf in JJ. This is his debut game coming into the LPL. No roster changes on DMO, but for the side of EDG, Jinu, JJ, a different EDG. Let's see what their style's like. Let's see what they're like going into Game 1 against a team that was renowned for team fighting, up from the LDL to the LPL. Raz, I'm so glad to be back as we go into Game 1 of Summer. New background, new theme, new Summoner's Rift in the LPL.
All right. They don't want to cheer.
That
it's
is
cool.
EDG.
Maybe they are cheering. Maybe they're just too quiet.
There we go. All right, EDG.
They ain't even playing.
Okay.
Well,
Well,
you don't need an LGD chant.
it's day one. You know what? Everyone's just warming up. Close
Uh-oh.
enough. Speaking of warming up, yeah, let's go. Chang Hong. Just trying to ward out the blue buffers. EDG start with the invade.
Yeah, good. I love the fact that EDG already showcasing a strong point in their early level ones, something that they really got stubbed on in playoff time. So already looking to force. I think this is going to be a side swap here. Xiaopeng cannot go topside at all to take his wolf camp. So
Spotted out by the vertical jungle. That was a flash away from iBoy, but they turn it back on a mark. The flash forward ignite already. It's just LPL-esque, isn't it? Twyla, first blood for DMO.
well, that's ring rust for you.
And we're just going ahead. Hello, Xiaopeng, level 2. What we expect from the aggro Rek'Sai. He flashes on down. iBoy uses someone before the heals there. The grand entrance as well. Gala just trying to lock the damage down and they find it. Double TP. What is happening? It looks like EDG want a match for match, but Mako on the wrong side of Summoner's Rift. Jinu getting bursted out as well. Mako will not escape, but the question is, will Jinu only just as the Nautilus runs through the enemy jungle? And 3 kills about to come forward as Mark finds a grand entrance. Gala will walk forward. 1, 2.
One more.
And thank you very much. That's how we begin.
What a destructive first 2 minutes for EDG. Welcome to the LPL Summer Split, EDG. You just mucked up. Let's see what happens to Scout. We didn't get some time to see this, so he definitely just got opened up on. He didn't want to flash.
Oh.
He wanted to flash only when he saw the animation and was too late.
I remember what we talked about in spring where Twyla had, not a decent laning phase, even though he was playing towards the laning phase. Well, I'm sure this will give him the opening boost here on the new roster.
At least the wave is pretty good here for Scout. We'll have to see if it's pushing in. If it is, then it's not. Yeah, it's hard to tell. If it's pushing in towards Twyla, then that sucks. Not only is he coming back into the lane really behind in terms of gold, but then on top of that, he's going to require JJ to come in and help. So we'll have to really gauge how the mid lane is going when we come back into it.
Of course, wasn't the only lane that got in trouble there. Now Gala and Mark, a kill on the 80 carriers. Twyla's just doing it again. Scout cannot trade off here. At half health already, Twyla at full.
Disgusting. At this point, if you're Xiaopeng, you suddenly have a lane you could play through. Not only did we get a flash out of Scout, but he's getting chunked down to a point where a dive in mid lane is possible. We've seen RNG do this to FPX actually last split.
On the Rex
when they threatened doing B, that was a strategy you can utilize. This time around, it's going to be something that they should do versus Scout.
You can see on towards the top side as well. Deep vision put down by Jinu, but Jinu in this lane's already fallen behind a level with a big wave. DMO, their mid lane looking good as well. Small gold lead already, and looks like Precision first.
No,
Glacial Augment, excuse me.
Yeah, Glacial Augment, this is the wrong graphic. It's going to be Jinu that has himself the Precision tree, so don't want you being confused too.
Yeah, it's all right. I
Relax.
have a quick look. But Glacial Augment's still an aggressive summoner, one we've seen someone like the Shy Gala. A lot of respect shown towards the Nautilus.
Yeah, flash down for Gala, but it was good. You want to be able to keep yourself up in lane, so he gets to be able to shove this one out. He still has Mark's protection and Xiaopeng being able to lean to this side of the map, so not all is too bad. So already loving this side for DMO. It gives a lot of space for Xiaopeng to work. We already talked about mid lane being the primary focus. If he doesn't want to, if you want to slow the game down, then really it's going to be on him to lead Twyla to the bottom side of the map. Infernal Dragon is going to be the first one, so it gives him the shot to really be able to get that done.
About to say, he's still got a problem though, because GG's just been power farming this whole time. While all the chaos has been going through, he stayed out of it. Big CS lead in the jungle already with double longsword, and has a smite available too. So while Xiaopeng, level 4, down here looking for the response, GG has the level lead, and looks like for EDG will compound some of the gold back.
Yeah, the way the jungle matchup ends up working, because I know a lot of people hear about Olaf into Rek'Sai being a primary, like a sad point for Rek'Sai. It's level 6 that when JJ is able to hit that, you can find times to just all in.
Yeah.
While Conquerors got nerfed from 10% to 8%, it's not significant enough to push people off of it.
Oh, it's still great.
It is still great for champions like Olaf. So that's what I'm expecting.
Well, starting up the dragon, going to be warded out here. Looks like DMO have all the cookies in the bottom lane and the mid lane as well. Twyla spots a sneaky Olaf just walking through. Nothing he can do about it.
Yep, Xiaopeng notices that his side lanes are doing quite, the adjacent lanes that is, for both mid and bot lane are doing alright, so
yep.
Let's see it.
Alright. Let's find out what happens if they flash on into the Infernal Dragon. You see a petrifying gaze. Looks like we're fighting again, and GG with that level advantage does find a kill, but Twyla finds one on the way out. Dredge line to pick up another. And that'll go over to Olaf, so JJ now firmly ahead in the jungle, firmly ahead for EDG.
Yeah, fantastic collapse. From Dominus, I was a little bit concerned. The great point to them was the fact that their adjacent lanes, both mid and bottom side of the map, had shove. So I was like, okay, it's okay for Xiaopeng to be able to do this alone.
Yeah.
But JJ had a great idea to be able to go for it. Gets 2 kills off of that. Now, Olaf these days has been going Warriors, so just far more efficient than finding yourself like Cinderhawk, all of that stuff that's actually just not cost efficient. It gets you to clear faster, sure, and later on you have that HP pool. But at this point, especially with the lead that he has, it's going to be so hard for like, the Dominus members to get him off.
Trying to flash in for that Infernal as well. It was ambitious, but picking up the kills, definitely worth it in the end.
At least Twyla was able to get the response kill off of all of that one, but 2 kills going in towards the Olaf really erases a lot of Xiaopeng's early strength in the bottom side of the map. So.
Yep.
A little bit concerning for me. Dominus came in strong in the bot side fight. Now you have 2 kills on the Olaf, who is at this point going to be challenging your Raptors, is what my assumption is going to be. So we're going to have to see how Xiaopeng ends up dealing with this.
Definitely showed you that advantage to clearing early on came back for JJ, who's now 2 levels ahead, who hasn't gone back just yet. But as you said, Raz Warriors has gotten very, very popular and picks it up. Ruby Health Crystal there as well.
Easily. And he's 2 levels ahead of Xiaopeng. So Xiaopeng 100% needs to be playing to Fog of War here. You can see he's trying to look for a gank, or at least trying to give Chang Hong the easy shove in. So if JJ is going to be coming in for a gank, it's going to be a little bit harder. Xiaopeng's got his back.
Juno is still able to farm under the turret though. Will be behind by about 10 CS due to the earlier teleport play, which is almost back up and available here for the Renekton, who still has not backed. And for Juno, there's been no pressure in the top side, still being comfortable in this matchup. But now you can see towards the bottom side, JJ's going at it again.
Yeah, and he's being helped by Mako, which is what we wanted to see. We wanted to see a jungler being able to have direction here. Mako, who has had a safe bottom lane up until this point, can allow JJ to push his advantage more. Now, sadly, he couldn't really challenge for the Raptors camp, but you know he's going to stay around for red buff. Mid lane doesn't actually have push to help out, so Cassiopeia can come out and help.
Oh my god, that was just a smite and an axe.
Wow.
Undertow does half health. Thank you for the red buff, JJ says. Tunnel, you're not coming back in. Maybe Krugs are going to be his as well.
I thought Cassiopeia was going to come in a little earlier, but he didn't get to see the wave situation for Twyla here, so he's just not going to be coming.
And he gets spotted out by JJ coming in return as well. Scrying picks up that ward, which is going to make it very difficult for Twyla to stay safe, although still has flash in the mid lane. You can see the engage is happening again. Hello, iBoy finally has his summoner back up. Killer Instinct. They send the feathers out, but there is no Blade Caller just yet. And Mark and Gala still punishing this bottom lane of EDG.
iBoy repositioning just so he can get outside of the Blade Caller's range. So good call, but ultimately chunked out. They're pushing in this big wave. At this point, I just want EDG's duo lane to head back to base. They want to be at least able to get the first item in. Oh, close.
Close dredge line there. The Nautilus is getting very pesky to this bottom lane, but as the wave crashes in, now EDG's bottom lane can roam again, and JJ is just waiting for that Rek'Sai to face check.
So they have a great position for the next Dragon when it ends up coming. And an even better position to help out Scout, because if Scout ever gets ganked here by Xiaopeng, then not only is JJ there to hover, but also Mako has the ability to just walk towards him. Okay.
That's a flash commit from Mark. Doesn't find the quickness, almost gets bursted out. Ignite back down. Double TP from EDG as the phase rush comes through. It's a Void Rush and a half, but Jinu's now on top for Gala, who has to flash with the Blade Caller not available. He needs it to save his life. Scout already found Mark. They find another onto Gala. Scout now in a firm position in this game as Changhong is way too late. EDG just pull the trigger and it all works out.
Great response from Mako and iBoy. Just getting the hell out of there immediately as Mark sets up for the engage. And even better TP timing, because I'm just concerned if the play happens, Changhong finds himself teleporting to the bottom side first, then they can turn it, right? Dominus can find their way back into that skirmish, much like they did in the early level 1, level 2s.
Yep.
Didn't happen. Jinu has a perfect teleport timing to then turn on towards Gala and Mark, erases them. Fantastic team fight from EDG.
Kind of takes away the question of how the shot calling is going to go, especially in this game 1. GG just underneath turret still. Has to be careful of Twyla, who decided not to make the roam in that fight. Instead, got the push off, got a bit of turret plating himself, and is now 30 CS in the lead of Scout.
That's going to be the primary focus from the team.
Hello, Flash. Hello, knockup. Goodbye, JJ. That's a kill to the Rek'Sai, much needed right now for DMO.
I think if you're JJ, you had to have the idea that Dominus decided to swap lanes there. The dual lane went topside. It gave Mark the opportunity to roam first, so JJ just needs to be able to calm down in that situation and just head out right back. So he greeted for the Raptor camp, and he ended up falling to it.
Let's see if Jinu's going to play it a little bit safer as Mark is just walking up to the top side of AD carry. This nets the Rift Herald, and maybe not for EDG.
I'm surprised that EDG is not swapping iBoy up towards this side of the map. They're contesting for the Rift Herald, but they don't have the fighting power to be able to take this one. So, I don't know, man. You calm down.
Yeah, I'm not sure that solo gold will be worth it in the end. That's a Rift Herald secured by DMO as everyone to the top side of the map, and Jinu's going to have a hard time protecting this turret.
You certainly will. I think at this point, if you're Dominus, you want to be able to have Changhong hard shove the bottom side of the map.
Oh, hang on. Do you want a 1v2? How do you enter EDG? As a hero? Well, almost Jinu. He pops the ulti, he backs out, doesn't force anything from DMO's bottom lane.
Probably thought that he had Mako a little earlier on. He has his ultimate prepared, so would have been easy for them to set up on top of the AD carry with the Nautilus ultimate in tow.
Oh, he's back.
Oh, yeah, he is.
Welcome back to Summer, Colonel.
Already changing his mind.
That's a great way to start. Of course, with an early game like DMO showed with the early 3 kills at 2 minutes, thought it was all in the bag, but EDG have just brought the tempo, brought the momentum, as they're now doing towards this Ocean Dragon. This looks pretty free as well. Looks like a trade of objectives, as Xiaopeng picks up the Rift Herald and still hasn't dropped it.
They still need to be defensive after this point. I would love to, okay, unless if Changhong is going to be a nuisance, but find themselves time to back. If Changhong can get out of this, I think he's in range for a Q.
At the dredge line, ultimate popped immediately. So you get the ulti out of the tank Scion. With turret plating still available, EDG can push.
I don't think they want to push.
Okay.
They need time to back, because at this point, it's all going to be on responding to where Xiaopeng ends up going. He's the one with Rift Herald. They need to be able to defend it rather than trading against it. So smart from EDG to find their back timings now.
I will say, however, though, for GG, the tempo has stopped a little bit. Thank you very much. Can the Scion 1v1 Mako? No, but
get off of me.
Still going to be a bit of a nuisance. There we go. Rift Herald on the top side. Gala's still here to push the wave, but look at the rotation coming up from GG and iBoy towards the top side.
Renekton's in a kind of a dangerous spot, but he's trying to play cute. No ward here. He's going to be there for a flank. So all eyes on how Gala can play this one out. He does not have flash.
Underneath the turret, Jinu, remember, has the ulti. He's not going to go on in just yet.
Waiting for Miasma to expire. He has an opening now.
4 members there. Pops the ultimate. Dominus is there. Let's see who the real Dominus is. Onto the stun, onto the slow. Scout finds one, and they're ready to go. As the Miasma user goes down, Jinu still looking for the push and the slice and dice. And Gala just takes a big whirlwind to the face, but DMO lose out on the trade and don't get the turret.
That's that level of creativity that we're looking for when it comes to Jinu on EDG. Is that we were talking about, getting in position to defend a possible dive with the Rift Herald take. He was just trying to look for a team fight immediately off of that. Now, that's a risky play.
Oh, yeah.
As long as if someone goes in there, they can pick him off. Or at least force him to use his flash, and he has to get chunked out, go back to base. It's an even worse position for EDG. While Dominus has to collect your thoughts after that.
Yeah, you'd have to, because as I just realized, the ultimate of Renekton is the same name as the team. So that's one for the books on day one, Raz.
Good luck.
Thank you so much.
Good luck. If Changhong plays Renekton, that's the type of game I want to see play.
curious because his champion diversity in this very first game has just gone back to, I guess, square one, but that's not really fair. For me, Dominus seemed to be a team that, you know, just building off the momentum and the hype off the spring, and I think coming into game one, there's not much to say. But
they're saying off the spring, but remember, NEST, they come in, they take down BLG.
Also true.
While not all teams are performing seriously, I think EDG were taking it seriously.
Yep.
They're trying their players, sure, but they came in with their full, you know, roster ready to play on that one. So I love the fact that the practice sessions, right?
Yes,
they can see which one's working out well for them, which is they're a team that ultimately has a lot of faith in how the scrims end up going. So remember, during the entire spring split, Clear Love is the one that plays. He performs to a great degree. They go into playoff time and they start with Haro. That's always a big risk for the community because it's obviously like, wait, Haro is the one that was performing poor during the regular season, and it was actually Clear Love performing better. How is he not the one starting and all that? And if you fail, if you lose that game, if he's the one that performs poorly, then the team starts getting all that hatred and flame. But you're like, you'll never see what happens behind closed doors.
Of course.
So they're the team that, yeah, you're right. I think we'll have to, they're the ones that are going to make the call if Ray is ready to play.
So far for Jinu, he's fallen behind a little bit, but creative plays, as we saw before on the Renekton, has been kind of exciting to watch. First 20 CS that's been missing there for the top lane in the start of the split. And also big CS gap in the jungle here for Jeju, who in his debut game in the LPL seems to be quite dominant on this Olaf, but where can he take it as we head towards the mid game?
That's always the question, especially for younger junglers debuting into the LPL. Of course, if he has his early game advantage, you need to be able to close it out, make the right decisions. And so far what we saw is him playing around Mako.
Yeah.
Of course, being able to get the vision control around Scuttle Crab, once again going in towards EDG's favor, and then pushing in for the right plays, which is deeper in bait. So right now, he's getting an A+ from me.
At the very least, with Jinu, they're providing a lot of deep vision towards that blue side jungle. He's now moved to the top side as well, and turret plating has ended there. Bit of extra gold towards DMO, but EDG, if they can break open this first turret of the game, then it's going to go back in their favor. They're already 1,000 gold ahead, and this should just open up the map for iBoy and Mako.
Taking a look at the rotations here from Dominus, it seems like they want mid lane focus, and that works out well for them. Remember, a lot of the turret platings have been chipped out by Twyla. Now moving past 14 minutes, he's still looking to primarily look at this mid lane turret. So if they can take that down, that opens the horizons for Dominus, a team with a Cassiopeia, you know, 3-item AD carry, could look towards the Baron buff when it's up and available, and can really cut in towards either jungle with the mid lane tower being taken. But of course, going with the standard bot lane tower first.
Very true. You got yourself a 20 CS lead there on Twyla as well. And up against Scout, who's picked up 3 kills this game. Has a bit of a bounty on his head, closer towards that Trinity Force. There's another turret drops now for Dominus in the bottom lane. And Cheng Hong looking for the bit of the roam. Has his ulti back up and available. Level 11 on this Scion. Deeper vision now as DMO start preparing for this next dragon, which is about 4 minutes.
It's going to be a while off. I just love the fact that at this point, if you're Dominus, you have a composition that's really just focused on you being able to hit your major item points. So I certainly want to see Twyla coming into this one, not with Morello's, but certainly with the Oblivion Orb. If he has that level of magic penetration, then he's going to be fine in the lane. You already saw how much chunk and damage he was dealing to Scout. That's going to certainly translate over to the other members. What I want to see, of course, is also Xiaopeng being able to hit his Black Cleaver. Then he can start looking for, positioning aggressively in fights. Right now, at this point in time, he was following Cheng Hong for a good majority of it because Cheng Hong is the one that needs to be able to take those blows. So right now, Xiaopeng's trying to find his way back into the game.
At least for both teams, though, you look at the mid-game and you say, look, there's not much of a gold lead. EDG, we're talking about their ability to match the fights of DMO, but at this point, as we're preparing at 17 minutes, there's possibility for it to go both ways.
Yeah, you're right about the gold lead, but then you talk about the experience lead, and it's completely in favor of JJ.
Very true.
Like, 2 levels ahead in the jungle matchup alone, just based off of the base stats. JJ wants to be able to match Xiaopeng as much as possible, which is why I think it was smart from Dominus to then trade sides earlier on. When you start seeing that ridiculous level gap, is you want you get the hell out of here.
Ever seen a 1v1 of a Corki and a Scion? Well, we're not going to get it.
Definitely doesn't want to touch any of that.
At least for Xiaopeng. Picking up the Cloud Drake while you spot the Scion on the top lane.
Yeah, trade sides. You're Xiaopeng. Never deal with Jeje because he's just going to run at your face. And I was talking about how Olaf at 6, I mean, we're far past that point.
A little bit.
Is just going to completely disregard the knock-up that Xiaopeng has, so there's no way for him to take that fight.
And the damage is already going to be too much because that's a Black Cleaver. That's 2 items done moments ago for EDG's jungler. And now into the mid lane, this looks like a hard battle for DMO to push.
This is very dicey. They do not have range in their composition. You'd look towards Gala, but no, Gala, if each ever tries to walk up to the tower and look to pick it up, there's the hook from Mako that's certainly going to reach him. You already see Jinnu, it's going to be the go sign for him to come in at the flank. So I would not take that risk if I am Dominus. They're playing around the miasma range there. So as long okay, or this.
Or you could just force it with a Scion. He stops short. He says that's a bit too far. 5 members versus 3 in the mid lane, and they still can't get it.
That's a heavy committal for Chip on tower. That kind of brings the point of how difficult it is for their comp to ever touch that tower. Yeah. So I don't like that investment.
But worth the shot.
No.
Okay.
He ran his head kind of at the tower. At least make use of the damage that ultimately brings. But anyways, it looks like EDG's going to turn it on their head.
You see a big ultimate like Cheng Hong's unstoppable onslaught.
Oh,
you
look
say,
how easy that is.
Yeah.
Where are your members at?
Scout has the Trinity Force. That was an easy push. So that opens up the map, as we talked about before, against EDG. It's going to be difficult for DMO.
Any coaching staff that looks at this will just ram their head, much like Scion did, right at the cement wall. Because what they should do with this composition is they may not have the Scuttle Crab in the bot side of the map. They're going to be just going for it. All right, let's do it.
We can't slow him down. The quickness can't, so they go for the other target that can. That's iBoy. Flash over the wall. They're committing. It's just Cheng Hong by himself. Decimating Smashdown. But iBoy, Killer Instinct, they find the knock-up onto the Scion as Scout is flanking from behind. Jinnu's here as well. Let's slice and dice, baby, as 1 kill already goes down. It's the Scion. Jinnu takes down Mark as well. And EDG are getting fed. They love the platter that's been laid out.
What the hell are they doing? What is Dominus trying? So I was already talking about what they should have done initially when they're trying to chip turret with 5 members. Try and get Cheng Hong away from the 4 members, move him around so that he can threaten a flank. I was saying that they didn't have the Scuttle Crab, sure, fine. But at least be able to get the control ward on one side of the mid lane turret so they can start threatening him off. But they're like just going brute force, baby.
I mean, it's the identity of DMO from what we saw last split. Let's find big team fights, but not this early on as Baron does go down quickly. JJ doesn't have the ultimate, so he will drop down. But that is a good price to pay as the unstoppable onslaught onto Scout just dodged away. He can't follow this one.
Yeah, you can't flash this one for good reason. Just a big success for EDG. EDG essentially just waited for Dominus to start throwing haymakers. And just chill out.
Yep.
Take a drink. Relax.
Have a beer. I'm pretty sure that's what's going on
there.
You're
making drastic assumptions, my friend. You can't read that.
I have Harbin in my fridge, so I have a
drastic assumption.
All right, that's fair enough. Look, that's a 4K gold lead for EDG though. 20 minutes in the game. You have a Baron buff on 4 members, and you got these big item power spikes that continue to grow as Looks like GA coming up next for JJ. Looks like the top lane's getting the second item, but we'll look how it started because it was simple.
I think this part is fine. Like, this is great.
Yeah.
You also able to find him flashing over the wall. Just don't follow up. Like, Chang Hong, you have to at least have some level of respect for EDG being there to collapse, right? They're playing 2 members here for a reason. Scout was in the top side of the map clearing out, so he can collapse over. If it's only the Scion who's following, he's not going to have the damage to just completely 100-0 the AD carry. If it was another member flashing over as well, I think that's okay. It's just a matter of time and speed and finding the exit strategy. They didn't even think about the exit strategy.
It does look like DMO, though, are running out of options at this point. They're falling further and further behind, trying to make these plays work. Well, mistake number 1, but now getting pushed up against EDG. As the bottom lane turret falls down, EDG taking all outer turrets. And now with the Baron buff, looking to make the push. Mako spotted out on the side. Chung Hong has to be careful.
I think they need to relax here. EDG should look towards the next wave. They're getting good chip on the tower right now. But right now, Kaisa will be able to meet you guys in about 10 seconds.
You said chill out. Chung Hong's at half health, comes back on in. Maybe this is not good. DMO, find 1, find 2. The next one comes through, and iBoy's not even in the fight. The poke from Scout has to get something as they re-engage, force the flash. Just messy on all accounts.
You know
EDG,
how nice it would have been if they had just waited for the next wave?
It would have been so much better.
Would have been good. You would have had an AD carry. Someone that actually committed to damage. Someone who has right now a Guinsoo's Rage Blade. But they just decided, no, don't worry. We can fight right now. Welcome to the split.
Welcome to the split. Xiaopeng gets the same treatment. Scout, thank you kindly. That's his 5th kill of the game. And the more that EDG throw away, it looks like they just get back anyway.
All right, perfect. And just so there's no confusion right now for everyone out there, Muramana has been the go-to since the extra little buff, so you can get your second evolution pretty quickly. And it's just straight damage.
Extra 10 AD.
Yeah, and I'm talking about specifically Muramana on iBoy and the Kaisa, so no surprise there. I was a little bit, during the changes, I was wondering about Guinsoo's Rage Blade since they nerfed it. Technically, right, the nerf was that they moved it from a 2-hit proc towards a 3-hit proc. That sucks.
Which, it hurts.
But the buff, in a sense, was actually making it so it's the 15% magic and AD, just the both penetrations, right out the get-go. No scaling on that one. So you get it immediately. So that's nice. You're able to see him just kind of be able to tear up Chang Hong immediately, the one who's coming out with both armor and magic resist. So it's getting its value.
Curious to see what we see as the 3rd item there. Zeal in hand for iBoy too. At the moment, still defensive item. No, we're going to go for the rapid fire cannon. So 3 items on the Kaiser at the moment. And iBoy in a pretty good position like the rest of EDG. You don't need the CS leads if you got the kills. And that's what EDG have right now. 5k gold lead and Infernal is coming up next.
I'm Dominus at this point. Really, the way they come back into this game is through like playmaking factors like Scion Ultimate, if it's used properly and not just running at the turret. Or looking towards Mark's ability to just kind of engage. Yeah. It's harder now because it's not the usual just flash grand entrance. Like, you can't just kind of get the easy, quick engage. That's been the change towards the champion there. So for DMO, I'm just kind of looking at their primary engage points to be able to find a way on towards iBoy or Scout. Maybe even JJ, because they have at least a little bit of damage to chunk him down. It's just unfortunate that he has a Guardian Angel, so he can spend a lot of time, bit of a filibuster period, to be able to say, okay, you're hitting me, that's fine, that's cool. It's really the threat that's Jinwoo. 2 team fights in a row, he's been able to get straight towards the back line.
Remember, he was behind. Even in the style matchup, he was behind in the lane, but he's now caught up, gold dead even, and picked up the Spear as Shojin. 2nd item, we've seen a lot on the Renekton's now. Glad we're just not seeing it first. So 2-item Renekton, a lot of cooldown reduction, a lot of spinning.
This point forward for EDG, way they should play this one out, find Renekton on top side, Corki on bot side. I actually I'll swap that for now. I'll say you'd put the Renekton on the bottom side of the map just because, I mean, he's already there. He has the teleport enabled and available. So when Baron does come up, he's going to be there. But the side lane pressure, Dominus cannot answer that, so.
I'm curious as to how Chung Hong can match him, level up. Now matched by Jinwoo himself, and EDG just heading up towards the top side of the river. Baron's about, looks like a minute or so away.
Already sending him over. Now, Jinwoo should stay in this area. If they move towards the Baron buff, he's just focused on the fight. Yep. He wants to find a way to look for a straight flank. If I am Chang Hong, if I'm Twyla and I'm just looking ahead, you want to be able to, A, start the fight and be able to put the miasma down, so no members like the Olaf can kind of walk forward at you. Well, then what happens if Renekton's already there, just kind of beating you down? So I love the fact that Jinwoo understands his role in this position.
Pretty straightforward fight, though, if Jinwoo can't find that flank off, because for Twyla, 3 items on the Cassiopeia. We know what a pain she can be in close spaces as well. And Scout, as he pushes that wave across, you can see Twyla trying to do the same as Baron has begun. And here we go.
Gala's not in position, though. He's picking up the camps, picked up Red, picked up Raptors, and this Baron's already down.
I mean, Twyla's not there as well. 2K in for the steal, denied. They just flash on over, and it's Jinwoo again. Doesn't need the flank Raz. This time he goes face first, takes down the jungler from DMO. Twyla comes in, albeit late. But EDG have already backed away with Baron in hand now, all 5 members.
Very, very unprepared for that situation. EDG was there, and you have to respect their ability to do it. We're talking about how fast Dominus can take Baron buff. Certainly EDG with the Kaisa can do the same thing. You have double AD carries, so at that point Dominus was just not paying it the necessary respect to be there when it was starting, so they cannot take a fight.
You got to think that now for EDG, it's so easy to push these inner turrets. Inhibitor turrets coming up next on the top side. Gold continues to grow, and when you have something like an Infernal Dragon on a team that is so far ahead already, that has a Corki, that has a Kaisa, you say, oh crap, there's an Infernal coming, and for DMO, they cannot contest.
Yeah, it's a tough one, isn't it? Because the team that right now is positioned to team fight is not necessarily the team fighting team.
Yeah.
Right, so it's going to right now we need to see a great level of creativity from Changhong in particular to be able to find himself in the back front. Yep. But the problem is right now, he's the one that's underperforming in this game by a mile. So it's going to be fun. I think that Dominus need to do something. Remember, we're still in a best of 3. So that's something where they can look ahead, talk about the composition, because I don't think the comp was the issue here. They even had a great early game lead.
I mean, this felt like the composition that's been run before. You take out the Kaisa, you still see the engage, the standard team fighting where you can put Twyla in something like a side lane.
Well, perhaps. We see Scout's going to get opened up on. He's going to follow the
Valkyrie. That's some good drifting. That forces the flash out of Scout. Let's go, Changhong. Let's just take it a mile further. There's no Valkyrie. You find the decimating smash. Gala flashes back in. Commitment needed and commitment given over to DMO as the turret in the bottom lane is the trade, but that kill for the push. Let's get it started.
If they try and look for just swapping sides, you're not going to be fast enough. Dominus just has to take this turret and head right back to base.
Mid's getting pushed as well. Twyla's coming on down. They want Jinwoo, Xiaopeng to accompany, but look at the mid lane. The inhibitor's going to go down if this continues on.
All in all, it was a nice pick, but they still need to be here to defend, so I like the fact that EDG is staying in the course.
I mean, Changhong right in front of them as well. He's tanked up about half his health so far, and that will push off EDG. At least Gala. Yep, he stuck around. He wanted the turret, and he got it.
That's fine. They lost a lot of HP on the bot side tower, so that's something that I'm concerned about. EDG can just come right back. So especially if you're going to be staying to the bottom side of the map.
At least the base isn't broken, though, for DMO, so that's going to keep them positive for now. Gala still has not backed off, though. They're pinging him. They know where he is, and for EDG, JJ's on the way. What? In time? No.
Ooh.
Close call.
Had an idea.
On the mark. Yeah, screw the ward. We don't need that either. Oh boy, might be caught out here. Xiaopeng looking for the follow-up. Heal burnt out. A very, very fight-heavy game.
Mostly based off of course, early rust. Coming back into the split, neither of these teams have... Not only did they not make it at the later portions of the playoff run, Dominus getting kicked out by top Esports.
Yep.
But of course had that whole month break, time off. Just scrimming very recently, actually. So coming back into this one, this is them just trying to get their sea legs. I can understand that. But when you get into the 20-minute mark, and I'm just going to be pointing out specifically Scout, that far out when he knows that his team is looking towards like deep in bottom lane and mid lane, the wave doesn't even need to be perfect. You just need to join them with a Baron buff that you have up and available. They also just need you because you're at that point pretty stacked. You have your Infinity Edge, Trinity Force, Rapid Fire Cannon. You can join your team to have that extra bit of poke on towers, so he just needs to be with his squad at all times.
Very confident. At the point as well, when you burn the summoner like Flash at this point in the game, well, you open yourself up to something from DMO. Remember, you still got great scaling on their side, even though there's been earlier mistakes. That 7k gold lead get less and less. Someone like Twyla is almost towards his 4th item, and almost a 4th item for Gala there as well, so it's not like DMO are going to be unable to come back into this first game.
It really does depend on, once again, the way they end up covering the gold lead is based off of just finding CC to just burst people down. I've kind of mentioned Changhong quite consistently, but it's also just Cassiopeia through her ultimate. If she's able to find just one major carry or just even finding Jeje so you can actually threaten him when he doesn't have his Guardian Angel, then that's fantastic. They have been slowing him down, and this is great.
Yeah.
Mostly because of EDG's mistakes, but them being able to do this gives them that shot in game 1.
At least for DMO, maybe they can speed things up with one fight or find that pick. Like you said, landing the CC. Changhong goes forward. He's the key maker as Mako pulls him back in. The quickness is there as well. They're only onto one person as JJ is not in the fight. The quickness comes around the corner, but Mark almost sacrifices his life as iBoy just killer instincts into the backline. JJ now taking the fight with Xiaopeng. Jungle, the jungle. And then going into the GA, Scout helps him out. Mako pulls back in another member. And for EDG, they're too far ahead. DMO weren't able to pick anyone off. And EDG just walked forward, that petrifying gaze on the deathbed there for the mid laner of DMO.
Right there, EDG ready to take the challenge on that one, and it should be game.
Pretty swift move from EDG in the end. A back and forth game, very fitting of the LPL and a great way to open. But for DMO on the back foot was not good enough. No way to get back in. And EDG open up the summer split with a win.
A little bit rusty, you can see that. But if I'm just talking about players that stood up, stood tall, for me it was Mako. I thought that Mako played that one out in the early game as well. Being able to get the pick on towards Mark, that was fantastic. Helping and leading in terms of like whenever the Scuttle Crab was coming up, he was there for it. Was primarily like the game was slowed down and they were getting leads through him, which was, I think, was great. But Jeje had a fantastic debut performance as well.
Really good performance, yeah.
So a good start to a young rookie. There's always a concern when you find yourself coming up from the academy onto the main stage that you have some real confidence issues, but I didn't see that just to start us off.
It definitely didn't have been getting him ready for this performance, and everything showcased there in the first game. But I'll take a step back into someone like Jinu, who earlier on the teleport came through, he didn't achieve anything, burnt the summoners, and ended up doing a decent amount of damage for what that game was.
I just realized I was talking about my MVP vote, and I didn't even mention Jinu. Like, Jinu is certainly going to pick up the MVP vote just based off of how he's able to get them back into the game. That top lane,
that's true,
just hiding in that bush, waiting it out. These are the plays that you want to be able to see from EDG, a team that is known for being that machine, a team that plays it by the book. That was in a completely new chapter, a chapter we'd never seen from EDG before.
That's right.
That's creativity, thinking outside of the box that we'd love to see in the organization. So being able to pick up the win, and a lot of that was just consistent flanking pressure from the Renekton.
It's definitely a breath of fresh air into what EDG I saw in spring, where it felt different, but I don't know, it's only one game, Raz, and you can...
Look, EDG was successful during the spring split. Not so successful in the specific matchup in the playoff time.
True.
And I think this is them being, adapting during the game. I will say a lot of it was just adapting an individual play, because Dominus threw a lot of nonsense at them.
Yep.
A lot of just bad plays. And for me, a lot of it comes down to how they wanted to force the mid lane tower available. The moment the side lane turrets were available, were taken down, Sion ends up joining his team through mid lane. You either commit to the dive, or you try and find a smarter way about it to push them out of the blue side jungle first, and then you can wrap around them. That is good if you're strong enough to threaten the fight. And I think they were. They were good at that point, or played even slower if you don't want to take any risk. Miasma, walk in, chip on the tower. It is just so slow that you really have to play around the Miasma cooldown. But they just took the worst options available. And ultimately, when they made the right call to pick off the two members picking mid, force the flash off Kai'Sa, and then the ultimate off of Olaf, great. That's a great trade. You can come back in the same situation.
But then what do they do with it?
Flashing over that wall.
So look, if Changhong didn't have the best game, that's fair enough. But coming into this, we had a lot of expectations on what the team would look like with the Sion back in the top lane for Changhong, and that wasn't the playoff style we saw of Sun and Dragon, now Dominus Esports. Remember, when these teams have gone up against each other, there have been no individual games dropped from the winning team. 2-0s, 3-0s respectively for both EDG and Dominus.
Yeah, I think that one thing that we usually see in reasoning for EDG and Dominus, they usually are able to do this because they are a consistent squad, both of them, during the regular season for sure. For EDG, their consistency is on the fact that if they are going up against a team that is just stronger mechanically, and I'm talking about Invictus Gaming, at times RNG, depends on the split that we're talking about, then they find real struggle in specific lanes and they get bullied out. And historically, it's been top lane, but not as of the last year, it feels like. For Dominus, for that team, for Dominus, their issue ultimately is in mechanics once again.
Of course.
And in this game, it seems like decision-making in certain plays was a major issue. They need to be able to clean that one up. I still think it goes to 3 games, and I think a lot of onus is now on Dominus to be a lot more calm, relaxed during situations where, and I'm talking about plays like a lot of those mid lane plays that came through. There's another one as well, is more so like if you're trying to find your way back into the game, you pick up Scout early up in the top lane. I'm talking about when Baron buff was raining down on mid lane and bottom lane.
Yep.
You got the kill. Don't try and trade towers. Base, you have the member advantage to be able to take down through mid lane if you want to force that fight, or bottom lane on that. But it seemed like they were not willing to take the numbers advantage or when they had the deficit in gold. So they need to be able to take those risks. Thankfully, they're not going to be starting on that side like that far behind next game.
Yep.
So I want to see what they're able to accomplish when they are able to get the same lead they got in the first 4 minutes of this game, if they can retain that.
It was an explosive way to start, really, for both teams, but after we come back from this, game number 2, let's see if it leads us to that final destination. 1 apiece is what we're asking for, but we'll find out right after this.